Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the YouTube channel for Peacefully Wired. My name is Matt, aka Peacefully Wired. In this video, I wanted to talk about anger and the power of delay. Delaying your anger, essentially bottling up your anger, your frustration, even your emotions to some extent, and how much of an impact it's made on my life. I know this is the way to reduce anger and stress in your life. I know that there's a narrative out there that it's the opposite, but I'm going to break down why that's not true. Before I go any further, please like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know what you think about the content. If you want to do one-on-one coaching with me, support at peacefullywired.com. If you want to join our Peacefully Wired OCD community, private OCD community, not on social media, please let me know and I will send you the link. So, delaying anger. I believe it's Seneca, one of the Stoics, that said the best remedy for anger is delay. And it's one of the things my coach told me. And I was asking him about my outbursts that I was having because I was struggling a great deal after a relapse and trying to get recovered from OCD, working with him. And I was telling him, the previous therapist, right? And I'm just going to say who I was working with. I was working with No CD, okay? And I was working with one of their therapists, and I was like, I'm really angry about this. And this person, well-intentioned, right, told me, well, you have to let that anger out and be angry, pound on the wall or scream into a pillow or punch something or, for me, it was a lot of hitting the center console in our Ford Explorer or hitting the ceiling, right? I would have these outbursts. I would get really, really angry and I would be frustrated and I had no other inkling of how I was supposed to behave. So I acted in anger. And when I asked, my coach, and I said, hey, when I get frustrated and angry, is it cool if if I act out? And he's like, absolutely not. He's like, what you're doing when you're doing that is you're practicing being angry. He's like, think about what that accomplishes when you do that. And, I think there's a huge misnomer of people that do release their anger, whatever, or whatever you want to call it, and they feel better, right? Or maybe studies show, hey, this works. Well, my question about it working, right? I'm going to break down how it's not working. It's not doing anything for you. But when you're actually acting out that anger, do you actually feel better afterwards? And what does it accomplish to do that? And the other question is, why are you angry? Why are you so angry? What has made you so angry that you needed to do that? Now, there are things in life that are going to make us angry, but acting in anger isn't going to solve it, essentially, right? Somebody wrongs you, you get a retaliation on them, right? Someone harms you, harms your kids, harms your spouse, and you go back and harm them, which is totally understandable. Very difficult not to do, right? Especially in certain situations, right? It'd be very difficult not to have that first inclination. But if you go and retaliate, essentially, what does it really do, right? If someone's antagonizing you, or you get in a fight with somebody, or someone beats you up, and then you go back and you beat them up, right? Or someone jumps you with 5 of their friends, you go back with 10 friends. Does that really change their perspective on you, on what the situation was? Does that get them to change their mind? Typically, no, right? Someone that wronged you, that you go and retaliate on, a lot of the times those people don't really care about you or what you did. So that anger really never solves anything, and then you essentially end up practicing angry responses, which means the next time anything happens, that's the way that you're going to respond, and on down the line. And so even if it's like I had a bad day at work and my boss was extra rude to me today, or disrespectful, or people at my job were disrespectful, or clients were disrespectful. I work in retail, customers were disrespectful, and I go home and I need to either act out some kind of anger or I vent and complain about it to somebody. What does that really accomplish? It doesn't do anything. Oh, I feel better. Well, you feel better because essentially it's a reassurance compulsion, especially if you have OCD. That's why venting and complaining our compulsions, they're out the window, right? If you have OCD and you're complaining about how awful you feel, if you're complaining about how angry you feel, I mean, essentially, when you're acting out in anger, that is a venting or complaining. You're just doing it physically. You're complaining physically, right? This should not be. I'm sick of this, right? Whatever you're doing, screaming into a pillow, all of that behavior essentially is complaining. Um, and so, like breaking down, like what's actually helping you? Is it really helping you? Because when you do that, is that helping you move towards having less of an anger response the next time that happens? No, because you most likely are going to have probably even more of an angry response, and more and more and more every time you need to release anger on a long time frame. That doesn't bring your anger down because you have beliefs about that situation, whatever it might be. Your boss treats you poorly, disrespects you. Well, you have beliefs that your boss or anybody is always supposed to respect you and treat you well. But it's not a need of yours. It's a preference that you have. You have a preference that people would treat you with respect, but you don't need it. If you need it, you have a condition on life, and nobody is obligated to ever treat you with respect. No one's ever obligated to say hello to you, right? This used to bother me a lot because we say hi to people all the time. We smile, we wave. That's just how we are. There's somebody I heard from, like, if you see somebody, and within the first like 5 to 10 seconds, if you can't say hello to a stranger, not that there's something wrong with you essentially, but it's a really great practice. And so, we just are outwardly friendly to people, and sometimes people don't reciprocate that. And it used to bother me a lot, and I used to make fun of people. And sometimes now I still even kind of laugh, if I smile. Like, I remember I was walking around in our complex, and this young girl was walking her dog, and I said, "Hey, good morning," and she made some kind of noise. Like, she didn't even say hello. It was just like and I was just like, I couldn't help but smile and kind of think it was funny. Like, and I also immediately kind of felt bad for that person. Obviously, something's wrong. Something's up with them. Not wrong with them, but something's going on with them. And so, stuff like that would make me angry. I mean, we can talk about like traffic. I have definitely road raged on people. I've hunted down people in my car, driven them off the road to a certain extent. Not really, but I mean, I remember one guy in particular cut me off coming out of a complex I was living in, and I followed him, sped up, was threatening him, basically, and the guy pulled over. It was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry I pulled out in front of you," and but stuff like that, like none of that ever really accomplished anything, and it just made sure that the next time somebody did that, I was going to react that same way. I will say, in that situation, I did feel extremely bad after that, but again, like, it didn't stop me from having angry outbursts for whatever reason. It might not be now someone cuts me off and I'm going to track them down, because it's actually a really dangerous thing to do. You never know who you're going to be, following. You never know, right? Um, but the best thing for anger is delay, even in a situation where someone might be, physically threatening you or maybe harming you, right? Unless you're like, a trained fighter and your hands are, um, listed as weapons, it's probably, you never know what that person has. You never know what's going to happen. If you see something happening to somebody, right? A lot of the times, the best that we can feel angry. You see somebody, see a bigger person attacking a smaller person, like a man attacking a woman. It's really easy to get angry and want to intervene. I'm not saying by any means like you should let that happen. Obviously, we all have what you're watching me on right now, potentially in our pockets, to pick up and call, someone to come and intervene. And sometimes it might be too late. They might not get there in time. But if you intervene because of anger, you never know what's going to happen, right? So it's not necessarily in that situation that you want to walk away from it. But again, like, not letting your anger get the best of you. And there's ways to use anger productively, right? I was having this discussion with the OCD group, talking about this this Monday, and saying, people would say, "Well, Matt, if you don't get angry," people might say, right, "if you don't get angry, then nothing changes." And it's like, well, yes and no. Like, you can be angry, and that can move to change. You can change something because of a feeling of being anger. But if you're doing or trying to make that change in an angry state, it usually won't happen, right? Because you're clouded by anger, right? What I've realized with delaying anger, and this isn't delaying frustration, delaying irritability. I don't get this right every single time. Trust me, my wife would tell you. I do not. I work on it, and there are times when I'm short and I get frustrated, and there's other times when I work on not reacting. But what I've noticed is that when you are not, when you react in anger, when you react frustrated, initially, right away, irritated, whatever, you rob yourself of the ability to like see, like to be able to problem solve, because you're only stuck in that angry state. You're only stuck in that frustrated state. You're only stuck in that irritated state. This must not be happening, right? It could be something simple like you go to make, you go to take. So I have a student lives with his dad, wanted to use his printer, and the printer wasn't working. Okay, and so my student, suffering from OCD, is very victim mentality, at this point in his journey, and was really upset, and was, saying mean things to his dad. They were exchanging, mean words back and forth. Things were said that were, probably not needed, and then the dad actually, let his son know, like, look, we're all tired of this behavior, whether you have this thing or not. And I don't even know if his parents know that he has OCD, but whether you have whatever's going on with you, like, you're not a victim. It's not poor you, right? But we have this, we can break down really easily when we have beliefs that things must go our way, or we have a low frustration tolerance. So what I've found is when you start building a high frustration tolerance, you stop reacting to anger right out of the gate. You have more of an ability to problem solve. You rob yourself of the ability to do the best and make the best out of that situation, right? Um, it's the same thing as, like, you wake up and you haven't slept, and your initial reaction is, oh, this day is ruined. Well, you don't give yourself a chance to have a good day now, right? So if you react to a situation poorly in anger, frustration, you're not giving that situation an opportunity to change for the better, potentially, right? You're only focusing on that anger. That's your reaction, and so that initially nothing gets solved, right? And so that's something that I have learned through delay. And like I was talking about, like, you can have anger drive you to want to change something, right? God, I'm angry about this, what an injustice, unfairness, whatever it might be. But if you try to move forward in anger, you're not going to accomplish a lot, because no one's going to really want to listen to you if you're angry all the time. Nobody wants to hear somebody who's angry all the time. They really don't. But like, I was using examples of, like, the civil rights movement, and you had someone like Martin Luther King. Yes, he was frustrated and angry, and so were, so were black people in this country. But they tried to do what they could peacefully. They were angry, right? They had a feeling of anger, but they weren't reacting and acting angry about it, right? That's kind of what the point of one of the messages in this video is. Just because you feel a feeling of anger doesn't mean you have to act angry. Just because you feel frustrated doesn't mean you have to act frustrated. And changing these behaviors really helps you with OCD, because the more frustrated and angry you act, OCD's got you. It's not going anywhere when it knows that this is the way that you're going to behave towards something, right? And so with belief work and changing your beliefs around, just something as simple as the printer not working, right? Your belief is, first of all, I must not have any struggles, right? This is unfair. Life must not be unfair. Everything must go smoothly. That's all a victim mentality, right? When you have the idea that this must not be happening to me, you have a victim mentality in two ways. One, in this must not be happening to me. I'm a victim, and also things should only work out for me, which is another. It is definitely it's a backwards victimhood, because you're like, I'm only good things should happen to me, right? So it's like both sides of the coin, where you feel entitled. to having things go smoothly. So just taking something as simple as a copy or printer not working, your belief about that situation, this must work, I must not have frustration, I must not have obstacles, everything must go smoothly, oh my God, everything in my life is a challenge, and that creates that anger. So when you can start delaying that response, you start to see, I don't really need to get angry about this thing, and it's not going to help me. What can I do to fix this? And then you start doing, and when you're doing the belief work, you're also understanding like, there's no reason why things must go smoothly for me. And a lot of people would think, well, then you just give up. I mean, why wouldn't you just give up if you know that, life is challenging and there's struggle in life, and, like, why even try if all of those things are true? It's like, well, you try because those things are true. Like, I try because I know that there's struggle in life. Life is not struggle, but there's struggle in it. Life is challenging, and there are challenges in it. What was the other one? Life is not a struggle. It's a Buddhist saying. Whatever that it's saying is, it's something that life is X, and it's like, no, life is not X. Life has X in it, and so I embrace that, and I'm not perfect at it by any means, but I work on it all the time. And so, like I said, building a high frustration tolerance, not reacting. So then you're taking some power away from OCD when you don't react in a frustrated or irritated or angry way. And then, when you're breaking down the beliefs about that behavior, about about what's driving that reaction and that anger, you start to see like, okay, there's other areas in your life where you can work on acceptance. And again, like, the problem solving becomes easier. You become better at deflating a situation because you're not reacting angrily, right? If you meet anger with anger, right, it's fire and fire. They don't really work together. So you be the non-angry one in situations, and work on doing it. Trust me, like, it's helped me so much in the journey. It's helped me not react to people. It's helped me to not like bully people. It's helped me not to confront people, and in a way like I'm right and you're wrong, right? Because and that's another video I'm going to do about the idea of being right and wrong. If you have that kind of belief system where you need to be right all the time, and that ties into anger a lot, but it's helped me not react to people when I see people or hear people talking in certain ways, and or people behaving a certain way, or somebody cuts me off in traffic, or whatever can make you angry, and delaying that response, because a lot of the times there's no reason to be angry about it. There's no reason to be frustrated, and being frustrating and acting angry doesn't really do anything for us. It just sets us up for the next time to be angry again. It doesn't diminish our anger. And then going back to this is actually proven to help if you release anger. Well, how many of those people that practice that kind of behavior are less angry? And my question would be, why are you so angry from a situation that you have to let your anger out? What are your beliefs about that? It doesn't matter what it is. You never really have to react in anger. I think I kind of did not finish my thought. Civil rights movement, they went out and did things peacefully, but there was a part of the civil rights movement, if you want to talk about Malcolm X, he was like, what was it? By any means necessary. Black Panther movement was kind of like that too. I'm not saying anything bad or good about that, but there was an angry way. One definitely progressed a movement more along whatever you believe, and we can get into like conspiracy theories about all that stuff. But on paper and on the surface, that there's a way that made things move, and there's another way that was not looked at in a good light, essentially. So again, thanks guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. Comment down below. One-on-one coaching with me, support@peacefullywired.com. If you want to join our Peacefully Wired OCD community, where there's all sorts of content like this in a private setting, where your comments are not going to be seen by anybody else. And also, there's other people in there that have OCD, and you guys can talk to each other and help each other along the OCD journey. It's an intermediate. I needed something when I was going through my recovery. I was very blessed that there was a community that was private, essentially, for me to go into and work on my recovery when I wasn't working with my coach. So yeah. So thanks guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.